So what do you do once you've made your document? Well, one of the things that you can be doing as you're making your document is checking what it looks like. These two little boxes here allow you to be in edit mode and then also to have a look and see what the finished piece will look like. Then, of course, you should be saving as you go along. So traditionally, you should save as an InDesign document. So here we've got an InDesign document, .indd, InDesign document. So if I say save, or I'll just save on top, save as, I'm going to save it as test, it will default to InDesign 2018 document or whatever version you have. Now, InDesign is notorious for changing the coding behind the scene very, very often. So really quickly, your InDesign documents are out of date. What that means is when you bring your document into the college and you open it up to try and print it, well, it might not open up. So InDesign embed the original code as well. So you can save it as a much earlier version or as a basic coding version, which is called an IDML. So that's an InDesign markup language. Okay, so that's another way you can save it. And if I look in the folder, you'll see it's an IDML document. Now, what you should do is you should bring in the whole folder when you come to college. And then you'll have the original and you will also have the IDML. Now what you might also want to do, if it's just simply that you've finished your work and you want to print it off, you could export it as a PDF. Now, again, you've got various options in the export format. We want a PDF for print. If it was for transferring via the web, then you might want to save it as an interactive, especially if it has interactive elements to it. We're just working with print at the moment, and so if I click save, I'm going to get offered another dialog box. It's going to ask me all sorts of things, okay? And I really don't want to go into too much detail at the moment. But basically, if you just make sure that it's a high quality document, okay? And one of the things you could have ticked is view PDF after exporting, so you can check it. What is important is the fact that, if you recall, we put in bleeds. So I want to check the marks and bleeds. And by default, this will probably be all switched off. So you need to decide what it is, what sort of markup you want in your document. Now, your PDF will be the document that the printer will use. So what you certainly want to do is you certainly want to add in the crop marks so they know where to cut. You might also be asked to put in registration and colour bars, but that's for another day. I've already put in the bleed settings, so I would like InDesign to use the settings that I've placed. So make sure you tick use document bleed settings and crop marks. So really those are the key things to be in control of. And then I'm simply going to export it there. Because I ticked open it up, we can check it, see that it looks okay. You can see the crop marks where the image is going to be cut, and it will cut along this trim line here. And that has saved into the same folder. Okay. There is a third way. You can just simply package. So one of the things you might do before, if you finish a project, before you come into class, and you were really finished it, okay, you might package it up. So what packaging does is it takes all the elements from this folder here and it repackages them into a separate folder, and it only copies in all of the really important stuff, all the stuff I've used. Okay. So it's going to bring in all the images I've used. It's going to bring in the typography that I've used, the fonts in font form, and also it's going to make me an IDML. Okay, an IDML and a PDF at the same time. So I'm just going to say continue all the way through. Here you can see you can put in a text document as well. So let me just put one in, blah, blah, blah. And we'll just pop it on the desktop. And let's just call it XXX so you can see it. So you can see what that's done is it's copied all the links that I've used, which is in this case is only one image, and it's copied the instructions. It's copied all of the fonts that I've used in case they're not available on the computer. I try to open the work in, but it's also made me a PDF, an IDML, as well as the InDesign document. So be careful, because what it doesn't do is it doesn't put into that folder images that I might want to use later on. Okay, so it's only going to copy exactly what's in the document, and it doesn't delete from this folder, so you actually still do have that original folder. But if in doubt and you are going to print before you come into college, you can say file, package, and then make a separate folder. Well, it will make a separate folder that you can bring in, and that should have all the elements we need. One of the common problems with InDesign is that you might have downloaded on your computer some fonts to use, and you've installed them. You might even have purchased some fonts, but they're not available on other computers, and therefore they will not show. So if I use an unusual font, it will just put a default font in instead when I open it on another computer. So in this case, we can take the fonts and we can install them if necessary on the other computer. So that's quite a lot to be thinking about. But just bear in mind, keep a separate folder for each project, save as an InDesign document into that project folder, put everything you're using into the folder. Don't change things after you've linked them in an InDesign document. So don't change names, don't move things around from folder to folder. Don't leave things on your desktop, have everything in that single folder, okay? And then you can either generate your own IDML file or PDF to print, or if you're absolutely sure you're completed and you won't need any of the additional images in any of the folders that you haven't used, then you can package, file package, and just bring in the unique folder.